What would you think if I told you that the best way to make a man chase you is by doing absolutely nothing? Not texting him, not checking if he saw your stories, not asking how his day is going. Nothing. It sounds contradictory, right? But this is where Carl Jung's teachings come in. When you withdraw your energy from someone, you stop feeding their ego and begin to reveal their true intentions. This isn't about manipulation. It's about power, your power. Most women don't realize that their constant emotional, mental, and even spiritual availability makes them invisible, not because they lack value, but because they never give a man the chance to experience what it feels like to miss them. In psychology, Jung called this projection. We give our light to someone hoping they'll give it back. But when you stop giving and start receiving, something wild happens. He begins to chase you. So even if you're not fully paying attention right now, let this video play in the background. Your subconscious will absorb what your heart already knows, that you've been giving too much, and it's time for him to start putting in effort for you. 1. Energetic power. Why ignoring works better than chasing. Here's a truth no one tells you. Men don't fall in love when you give them everything. They fall in love when they feel the absence of what you used to give so effortlessly. Think of it this way. Humans are wired to chase. Carl Jung said what we chase represents unconscious parts of ourselves, a desire, a fear, a wound. So when you ignore a man the right way, you stop being a source of emotional validation and become a mystery his mind needs to solve. And mystery is magnetic. Chasing a man is born out of fear, fear of losing him, of being forgotten, of not being enough. But the moment you turn that energy toward yourself, when you stop trying to be chosen, everything changes. You become scarce, and scarcity creates value. Have you ever noticed how the least interested people often get the most attention? It's not because they're cruel or toxic. It's because their energy isn't needy. They're not desperate. That's energetic power. You don't have to say anything. Your absence says it all. When you chase, you confirm that he is the center of your world. But when you step back, he's forced to wonder, why isn't she after me anymore? Did I do something wrong? Is she with someone else? That's when you start living in his head. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about redirecting your energy. Instead of giving it to him, give it to yourself. Your peace, your transformation, your silence, all that speaks louder than any "I miss you" you could ever send. And remember, ignoring isn't being rude. It's simply not being available for what doesn't nourish you. When you understand your worth, you stop trying to prove it. You embody it. And that's when he begins to feel the emptiness you left behind. 2. Stop feeding his ego, the power of emotional absence. There's something men won't admit, but many women sense. They love being chased because it feeds their ego. Every time you reply quickly, every time you check in on him, every time you break the silence first, you're not reconnecting. You're reinforcing his sense of control. But Carl Jung warned us, when we give too much of ourselves without receiving anything in return, we're not being loving, we're being unconscious. You're acting from a pattern you probably don't even notice, a pattern rooted in fear, not love. And here's something to understand. Most men aren't narcissists, but many become used to the comfort of feeling desired. And when that attention disappears, something inside them panics, because suddenly you're not there to reflect back how great they feel. You're absent. That absence, that silence, is a direct challenge to his ego. It's not that he misses you. He misses the version of himself that felt important around you. And here's where it gets interesting. If he only wanted your attention, he'll disappear when he no longer gets it. But if you truly matter to him, he'll start to seek you out. Your absence becomes a filter. It separates real interest from ego-driven need. Carl Jung said that we all live with masks, personas that hide our true selves. When you're always available, you feed that mask, you validate the surface. But when you withdraw your attention, he's forced to confront what's underneath. That discomfort, that confusion, that's his ego crumbling, and that is your power. So how do you stop feeding his ego without being cruel? Don't reply immediately. Don't initiate conversations. Don't explain your silence. Don't post stories just so he can see them. Let your absence speak. Let your mystery breathe. You're not here to convince a man of your worth. The right man will see it in your presence, but he'll prove it in your absence. When you stop giving so much, something beautiful happens. Your energy resets. You're no longer begging for crumbs. You become the whole table. And suddenly, the one who thought he had you secured realizes he may have lost the best thing that ever happened to him. Third, the power of silence. When you ignore, you say more than you think. Many women believe they have to speak to be heard, that they have to explain themselves to be taken seriously. But Carl Jung said the soul expresses itself in what is not said, and when you choose silence with a man, you're speaking louder than you imagine. Silence isn't emptiness, it's tension, it's mystery, it's the seed of doubt. And for a man used to having constant access to you, that's like an emotional alarm. Suddenly he can't predict you. He doesn't know what you're thinking. And that uncertainty drives him crazy. It's simple. What's taken for granted is eventually lost. But what disappears without explanation becomes an obsession. When you choose not to react, not to respond, not to intervene, you create space that forces him to reflect. Where did I go wrong? Why isn't she chasing me anymore? What changed? And through that process, not only does he begin to value you more, he also must confront his own emotional immaturity. Jung called this confronting the shadow, the side of ourselves we avoid, deny, and hide. And when you walk away in silence, he can't help but face his own. That discomfort he feels, it's not about you, it's about him. That's why silence isn't punishment, it's revelation. Every message you don't answer, every call you don't return, every moment you choose your peace over pleasing him is a way of saying, I'm no longer playing this game. I'm no longer dancing with your ego. I've chosen myself. You don't need to block him. You don't need to leave him on red out of anger. You just need to disappear in the calmest way possible. Not to manipulate, not to punish, but to remind yourself that you are no longer the woman who chases someone who doesn't see her. Because when he feels that emptiness, he will react, maybe with messages, maybe with indirect jabs, maybe with anger. But don't get confused. That's not love. That's his ego, trying to reclaim what no longer belongs to him. And if he truly cares about you, he won't give up easily. But this time, you hold the power to decide if he's still worth it. Fourth, let him wonder how to create a void he wants to fill. One of the most powerful and elegant strategies is to let him ask the questions. When you're always available, always explaining, always fixing, he doesn't need to think. You're doing the emotional work for both of you. But when you step away, when you give no explanations, when you simply disappear, silence fills with questions. And that doubt, that curiosity that, why did she pull away? That's what makes him come back. Carl Jung said the unconscious moves through symbols. And when you walk away without drama, without explanation, without leaving obvious clues, you become a symbol, an enigma, something he can't understand but desperately wants to solve. Men don't chase what's obvious, they chase what makes them think. Think of it this way, if he knows you'll always be there, he has no reason to move. But if one day he notices that you're no longer responding the same way, that you're not as present, that your energy feels distant, something inside him gets activated. He starts remembering, rereading your messages, looking at your photos, wondering if he made a mistake. That space you created through your absence now weighs on him, it unsettles him, and like every human being, he wants to close that gap. But here's the most important part. Don't be the one to fill it. Let him try to fill it. Let him make the effort, ask the questions, show his intentions. Because if you rush to fill the silence, to explain what he's feeling, you break the spell. This emotional game isn't about winning, it's about seeing who is truly willing to move towards you. And if he starts to act, to seek you out, to reconnect with intention, then you're no longer chasing, you're receiving. And that's when the real change begins. Your silence was the mirror, your absence was the message. And now, if he wants your presence again, he'll have to prove he's learned the lesson. Because you're not here to be an option, a backup plan, or a source of validation. You're here to be chosen with intention. And if that means walking away in silence, then that silence will be your greatest act of self-love. When you disconnect, you shine. The attraction of emotional distance. There's a quiet beauty in the woman who walks away without shouting, who no longer responds with intensity, who doesn't justify or get angry. She just leaves. And it's not coldness, it's evolution. Carl Jung spoke of the process of individuation, which is when a person begins to separate from external expectations and reconnect with their purest essence. When you decide to walk away from a man who doesn't give you what you deserve, you're going through that exact process. You're no longer seeking validation outside, you're starting to find it within. And when you do that, your energy changes. You begin to shine in a different way. You're no longer the woman who waits for him to change or begs for attention. You're the woman who chooses herself first. And that is visible. Even if he doesn't say it, he feels it. He notices that you're no longer emotionally available. He notices that you don't react the same way. He senses that there's a new version of you being rebuilt, and it no longer depends on him. And this new version of you, the one who does her makeup for herself, the one who laughs alone, who goes to bed without checking her phone, is the most powerful one, because she's centered, connected, complete. And the most ironic thing of all is this. The distance that at first felt like a loss becomes a brutal magnet of attraction, because now you don't need him. And that energy, that confidence is magnetic. And men can feel it when a woman no longer revolves around them. They sense it, they smell it, and they don't know why, but suddenly they miss you more. They try to reach you to recover what you've already outgrown. But here's what matters. You didn't walk away so he would come back. You walked away so you could come back to yourself. And if he returns, let it be because he recognized your value, not because his ego felt wounded. Let it be because he wants to grow with you, not because he can't stand losing control. You are not here to beg for love. You are here to attract it from your wholeness. So, yes, disconnect. Not to punish him, but to reconnect with yourself. And you'll see how your light, the one no one can touch, begins to attract exactly what you deserve. Set boundaries without saying a word. Many times we think that to set boundaries we have to explain them, talk, justify, repeat ourselves. But in reality, the most powerful boundaries are not spoken, they are lived. Carl Jung said that what is not integrated into our consciousness manifests as destiny. What does that mean? That if you don't become aware of your value, you'll keep attracting people who don't see it. That's why when you choose to walk away, without arguments, without drama, without warnings, you're setting a real boundary, one that doesn't need words. Not replying to messages without intention, not accepting last-minute invites, not being available for someone who only shows up when it's convenient. All of that is a way of saying, with me, it's all or nothing. That's self-respect. Because you can say, I deserve more 1,000 times. But if your actions keep tolerating the bare minimum, he won't take you seriously. Not because he's cruel, but because you're showing him that your love is negotiable, and real love is not. Setting energetic boundaries means being consistent. If he texts you whenever he wants and you reply instantly, that's your boundary. If you see him with another woman and still forgive him without a real change, that's your boundary, not what you say, what you allow. When a man feels he can't access you like before, he realizes something has changed, and that something is you. You're no longer willing to play second place. You're no longer settling for emotional crumbs. You're no longer waiting for him to give you the place you can give yourself. And the best part, you don't need to shout it. You just act differently. That's what unsettles the male ego the most. A woman who walks away without making a scene, who doesn't demand explanations, who simply is no longer there. That kind of energy isn't forgotten. It leaves a mark. Because more than words, you're communicating through your actions that you're not available for less than what you deserve. And that clarity, that quiet strength, is what truly sets the boundary. Let him come to you, the final test of his real intentions. After everything you did for him, Isn't it time he does something for you? Carl Jung said that when you stop acting from fear, you begin to see reality as it is, and that applies to love too. When you stop insisting, stop being the one who's always available, stop being the one who takes the first step, the most important truth reveals itself. Is he here for you, or just for what you give him? When you stop reaching out, stop wondering if he cares, when you focus on yourself, your life, your peace, he feels the shift, and he has two options: let you go or go after you. And that reaction says it all, because the one who wants to stay, stays. The one who wants to see you makes it happen. And the one who values you doesn't wait until you ignore him to give you your place. But to see that, you have to stay still. Don't send signals. Don't post stories hoping he'll watch them. Don't play games. Just hold your silence. He'll know something changed. And if he truly cares, he'll show it. Not with words, but with actions. He'll come with clarity, with intention, with a desire to build, not just to regain control. And if he doesn't come, that's okay too, because in that case, you've gained something greater. The freedom to stop investing in someone who doesn't know how to care for you. When you make this final move, the one where you stop moving, everything changes. You're no longer in waiting mode, you're in queen mode. And in that space, only what adds to your life is welcome. If you've made it this far, it wasn't because of him. It was because of you. Because something inside you is awakening. The woman who no longer settles. Who no longer gives everything out of fear of losing. The woman who is choosing herself. Carl Jung said, "Don't hold on to those who walk away from you, so that those who want to come close can." This video isn't about making him chase you. It's about reminding you that you are worthy of being chosen unconditionally, and that when you stop chasing, you start attracting what you truly deserve. Subscribe if you want more content that speaks of you and to you. Let me know in the comments what resonated most, and remember, your silence is more powerful than you think. See you in the next one.